A faffing around video. Um, so, um, I've been faffing around with milk powder, and I've got some left, and I was kind of thinking about doing something else with it, but I wanted to add like so you can get like Horlicks and Ovaltine, which are like malted milk drinks, um, and I was kind of thinking, can we um, like bake the milk powder to kind of caramelize it, to kind of give it a malty flavour, um, and then whatever I'm doing with the milk powder then kind of has a bit of a malty flavour to it. Um, it was just kind of a thought. I mean, I could just buy. I thought to myself, well, you just buy Horlicks, but Horlicks just isn't milk. It's got like malted barley in it and malted wheat. Where is it? Where? So yeah, so it's got wheat flour in it, and it's got that's probably like a thickening agent, but it's 46%. So I think it's got barley in it and it's got milk, so quite a low percentage of milk, and it's dried whey. So it's 46% wheat and it's 26% barley, and then it kind of goes down. So it doesn't kind of say how much. And it's got dried whey in it, milk, calcium carbonate, dried skim milk. So it doesn't actually say it's got palm oil in it as well. So I was kind of thinking, well, I'll just use Horlicks or Ovaltine, but no. So, but I just kind of wanted to do something with the milk powder, just to kind of caramelize it. And I kind of thought, what we could do is we could dry fry it in a pan, we could bake it in the oven. Both those methods would work, but I'm cooking something in this pan with the lid on. I'm cooking meatballs for another video, and so we're cooking meatballs in this pan, and it's going to be on for about 2 or 3 hours by the time it's finished cooking. Now the top of this pan's hot, and I've dried fruit on the top of hot pan lids before. If you're using aluminium like this and you're drying fruits, if the fruit's acidic, you just got to be careful. I put cling film on first, just to kind of stop the acids in the fruit getting into the aluminium and spoiling the flavour of the fruit and poisoning you, because there's such a thing as aluminium poisoning. So it worked because it's hot, is that? So I was kind of thinking, can we do the same with milk powder? So we'll have to be careful, because we don't want the steam from the pan getting into the milk powder and flavouring the milk powder. I don't think the aluminium will have an effect on the flavour of the milk, so I'm not bothered about putting any cling film on or anything like that. But I just did a thin layer of milk powder on top of there, and then we'll leave it and we'll see what happens. So hopefully it'll caramelise it a little bit, and we'll get it for free. So and I'm all about that. If we can utilise the heat from the pan to do something for free, something else, then that's a win in my eyes. And it'll just see if we can actually do it that way. I'll also do it in the dry frying pan, and we'll also kind of do it in the oven as well. But you know, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? So we're back. I'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. Alright, so it's been on about an hour. It doesn't look like it's caramelising or colouring. Probably needs to be at a slightly higher temperature, but it's going to be on for another while, so we'll just leave it and we'll see what happens. Right, that doesn't seem to have worked. Let's pull up to the camera a little bit. That doesn't seem to have worked. Maybe it's gone a little bit around the outside, but not much. It probably, if it's going to work, it probably needs to be a higher temperature. So I'm not going to waste it, but what I'll do is when I've got a clean non-stick pan, we'll have a go at dry frying it, and then we'll have a go at putting it in the oven as well. So it doesn't work on top of the stove like this, but it'll work in a non-stick pan, dry frying it, and it'll work in the oven. We'll just have to double check though. Right, let's have a go at dry frying this milk powder to see if we can get it to caramelize, malt, whatever you want to call it. Give it a bit of colour. Give it a bit of a caramelized flavour. So that's the same milk powder that I tried it with yesterday on the top of the pan. Quite a bit more to it. I don't think it's changed colour. No, it's still the same colour. Still the same colour. So we'll put a half decent amount in. We want the spoon, don't we? A cracked spoon. Maybe we won't use that for that. Maybe we should throw that away. So I think in the oven this will be more controllable because we're dealing with direct heat when we're frying. But we'll see how we go. I've got more in case I burn it. I'm not gentle enough. I can't. Do you know? These things come with. They're resealable, but I don't believe they ever are. I think the powder gets in the gap and you can never close it properly. Ah! It's starting to colour already. Look at that. It's starting to colour already. So this wants to go on a low heat. That'll teach me for not paying attention, won't it? Could probably get the blowtorch on this. So, but anyway, let's just low heat, keep it moving around. I've got other things to do in the kitchen, so I can break off a little bit. But there, you can see. You can't see, but you can. There. Just wanting to colour. Yes, it's working. Ah, yeah, come on, guys. It's certainly already changing colour. So I'll take this as far as I dare and moving it around. So if it works in the frying pan, it'll work in the oven. When am I at work again? Can't remember. But probably be okay to do it in the hot cupboard at work. Just on when it's on and it's heating up the plates or service, that's probably a good enough temperature for it to malt some milk. Is malt the right word? Malting barley. What do you do when you malt barley? It's in the brewing process, isn't it? Do you heat it? Do you caramelise it? Or do you just... I can't remember, but it's certainly colouring. So, just need to keep an eye on it. This is not something that we'll be able to do and do two things at once. Because this is going to burn very easily. So we will do. We'll have to do a comparison, won't we, of what it tastes like. We'll make up some milk powder using some of this malted. I'm saying malted, it's not going to be malted, is it? That's kind of what I'm wanting to turn it into. But this caramelised milk powder, as opposed to the normal milk powder. And it's certainly colouring. I can see it. So, we don't need to make the video really long, so we'll pause. Right. That's worked. That's worked. So, I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up. So what we'll do, the pan's still a little bit hot. So I just need to keep moving that around. So I don't want to take it any further than that, because there's a risk that it'll burn and a little bit too caramelised. But that's worked. So and we'll be able to show you. Well, I mean, this is the container. No, I'll pour some in. It's not going to make a huge difference. Just pouring a little bit of this milk powder in, just so you can see the contrast in colours. But that's not going to affect the flavour too much. So if you can see, that's the milk powder, and this is the milk powders that I've coloured, well, fried in the frying pan. So that works. Let's have a bit of a taste. Let's get a clean teaspoon and have a little bit of a taste. It's going to be hot, but let's just taste it. Yeah, it was one of those things. Dried milk powder is really kind of quite nice to eat as a powder form. It's like a bit of a like one of those, I don't know if the rest of the country will have something like sherbet dabber, where it's like quite an acidic powder that you stick a licorice stick in. yeah, and they lick the licorice stick and they lick the powder off. It's very nice. Don't have to do it anymore. Yes, there's definitely a marked difference in flavour there. So, frying it in a dry frying pan works, and I think potentially that's going to we can use that in all kinds of different ways. So put it in an airtight container. It's a little bit warm still, but it'll be fine. And then we'll use that, and then we'll have a go at doing it in the oven as well to see if that makes a see if you can easily do it in the oven. There we go. So success that way, but not the first way. Right, the oven needs to be on anyway, so let's see if we can toast, caramelise this milk powder in the oven. So I'm drying some bread out, so it needs to be on about 100 degrees. 100 degrees. So we'll put it in at 100, and then if that works, that's fine. If not, we'll just turn it up a little bit. So thin layer-ish on a bit of paper, and then we'll just keep an eye on it. I'll probably forget. Oh, I'm not going to use it all. I've got some more. So that's that. In the oven, 100 degrees. Although it'll probably need a little bit more than that, but we'll find out. So 100 degrees, and it's not colouring, so we need to put the temperature up. Although, obviously, it's formed a bit of a cake, you know, a bit of a crust. So that goes to show that it's 100 degrees has driven out some moisture. So it probably would caramelise, given a. Don't know why I'm doing that. It's just fun. Given a bit more time, it probably would caramelise. But we'll turn the temperature up to 120 and see what happens. So 120 degrees wasn't hot enough, and 150 is, but it colours quickly, so you've got to be quick. But that's definitely coloured. Maybe that's a little bit too far, but we're not bothered about that. So the rest of it's coloured. I'm not going to do it any more than it does. So 150 degrees, certainly a lot easier than doing it in a pan. So we'll know now if we want to do a lot more, just bake it at 150 degrees. Just be careful when you pull things out of the oven when you're doing things like this, because it's still on a tray, on a metal tray that's hot, so it's going to retain heat and it's going to carry on caramelising it. But that's a darker colour than that, isn't it? So we'll mix it all together and we'll have a taste, and then we'll think about what we can do with it. Right, let's do a bit of a taste test. So I'm going to have the milk warm, because I kind of, although I'm kind of thinking that a malted milk drink isn't, you don't malt the milk, it's the malted grains that you put in it. But I want to see what it tastes like warm. I do like cold milk, but anyway. So 10 grams worth of the 2 milk powders that I made, and then 100 millilitres of water, which is about 200 millilitres of water in the kettle. So as long as we put in a certain amount of each, roughly, we'll see how it tastes. Could have just measured it, couldn't I? Use a measuring jug, but no. That's about right. So, spoon there. Spoon. Smells nice. It smells nice. It smells like. It smells like malted biscuits. That's what it smells like. So, yeah, so it smells like malted milk biscuits, which is something that we have in the UK, which are delicious. But that's what it smells like. So this is alright. So there was the two, wasn't there? There's the one that I did in the oven, which was slightly darker, and then there was one that I did in the frying pan, which is slightly lighter. So obviously there's going to be a lot more flavour to that one, but it kind of depends on how much flavour I kind of want. It's not mixed in particularly well, so it's not gone back to milk. So you can see it's got bits in it. It's got bits in it. So whereas if you just mix the milk powder into cold water, it kind of goes back to a milky kind of colour and consistency. So hopefully it's not going to burn me. It's alright. It's alright. I suppose we really should taste some. Yeah, it's kind of got that malty kind of flavour to it. We should really. I'll boil up a bit more water, and we'll warm the colour, and we'll do it with the what we call it with the. I'll pause instead of me waffling. Right, so this is the normal milk powder with the same amount of water put in, and the same amount of milk powder. No, actually it's not. Oh no, it's because it's drunk, that's why. Not drunk, I have drunk some of it. So, it looks like the cooking process is having an effect on the milk mixing into the water. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? You see, that just tastes like warm milk. Yep, that just tastes like warm milk. Like, quite watery warm milk. So, right, okay, so things like Ovaltine have got the malted grains in them, and emulsifiers as well. So that's probably why it doesn't split out. Yeah, so it's nice, but it splits out. So it separates, which is what I was thinking about doing with this probably won't work. But we can see, maybe it's through the cooking process that we've kind of killed whatever's in the destroyed whatever's in the milk powder that reconstitutes it back to milk, and the cooking process has destroyed that, so it wants to separate back into the water and the powder. So I suppose what we could do is we can dirty another spoon and see if we can add a little bit of this caramelised milky powder to the one that had the okay, oh maybe it was the no, because this had boiling water put in it. This one's not splitting out as much. But do you know, if you wanted to bake something and kind of have that malted milk kind of flavour to it, like if we were making a biscuit, we could use the milk powder. That'd be nice. That's something we can do. That's something we can have a faff around with. Okay, so we have managed to give a different flavour profile to some milk powder. However, it wants to split. So there's liquid on the top of there, like that, which means all these solids have gone down to the bottom and not stayed suspended in the liquid. So that potentially limits what I can do with these two things. Well, there's one thing that I've made. But it's got a lovely flavour to it. I'm waffling, aren't I? But I'm thinking my way through things. So it's got a lovely flavour to it. And it tasted like malted milk biscuits, which is kind of quite interesting because they are delicious. I haven't got any, but they are delicious. So if you're wanting to make a cake or something, you could add some, like a multi-flavour through cooking some milk powder and putting that in the cake. But I was thinking what I would do is I would make some yogurt using the malted milk powder. I'm on with making some yogurt with just milk powder at the moment. It's just a little bit of an experiment. And what I thought, if that works, then we could use the the caramelised milky powders to make a yogurt, and then the yogurt would take on the flavour of the what am I calling it, of the kind of malted milk. Maybe yeah. I wonder if it still splits out if we put it in milk. Because I did make a yogurt that was milk and added milk powder to see if it would up the yield of the yogurt, which it did. So then the experiment would be: will the malted milk melt into some milk? Maybe we should do that. Yeah, let's heat up a bit of milk and see if the malted I want to call it malted milk. Right? So it tastes like malted milk. So therefore, I'm going to call it a malted milk powder. People will go, it's not because, and they'll get all funny about it. But it tastes like malted milk powder. It tastes like a malted milk drink. So therefore, I'm going to call it malted milk powder. Anyway, so I'll heat up some milk, and we'll see if it combines into the milk easily and doesn't split out of it. Right, so I have heated some milk and put in the milk powder, and it's not just mixed in, it's still a little bit grainy on a spoon. So, what's it taste like? It's nice. It's nice. I just stirred it up, haven't I? I think that's going to split out. Yeah, so there's lots of that. If you can kind of quite see, there's lots of debris on the side of the glass, which suggests to me that it's not going to mix in properly. I'll leave it for 10 minutes and then we'll see what happens, see if it melts in or if it splits out. I've got a feeling it's going to split out, but if we don't try, we never know, do we? So the powder has split out to the bottom. You can see that there. So we won't be making any yogurt with that. However, it will stay in the container and it will stay in the cupboard, and I will get around to using it with something at some point. So that will be a success, and this kind of is a success because it's made some nice multi-flavoured milk, which is delicious.